Michigan embedded correspondent John Solberg, and you are listening to the BBQ Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike your match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the really big BBQ Central Show. This is the show where we talk about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, David Lee, how can they do that?
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening this evening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, a first-time guest. If you are in the Houston area, you certainly know him. You've probably eaten his food. If you are a lover of barbecue restauranting, you probably already know about him. If you are just somebody who likes barbecue in general, from a peripheral vision, touch, you probably have heard about him. Texas Monthly raves about him. And he's making his debut appearance here on the show this evening. Grant Pinkerton of Pinkerton's Barbecue. So, Grant will be running basically the first hour, 14 and 35 past the first hour. So, we will get some background on Grant. I don't just assume everybody knows everything about Grant. And if you're new to this show, I wouldn't assume that you know anything about my show either. So we'll get a little history lesson in there. We'll talk about restauranting. We'll talk about multiple locations. We'll talk about what's hot in barbecue right now, whether it be backyard or in the restaurant scene. Of course, we have to be talking about beef and the prices and the crying. Did you know that the 4th of July is coming up this Saturday? And we'll talk to Grant about what he might be making and or suggesting. Tips from the pitmaster. Maybe we'll have him define the term pitmaster, for everyone would agree that Grant Pinkerton is a pitmaster. So let's put a definition to it here as we look to bridge into the holiday weekend. And then we will move to the second hour where we have nothing but open talk. I have topics, I have takes, I have all that fun stuff. Will take us all the way to 11 o'clock this evening. Maybe not, but that's all right. We can just stop it wherever it stops and call it a night, because we have a very busy day tomorrow of selling Peterbilt trucks. And it's getting harder by the day, but I won't bore you with that. So that's how the show is laying out here this evening. Grant Pinkerton shortly, and then your humble host in the second hour. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, the Twitter, TikToks, Snappy Chats, and LinkedIn, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. Of course, we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube. which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week. And we're asking everybody, including all guests, which will be Grant. Do you believe that the earth is flat? I would love to be sitting here right now, this very moment, and say, as I am glancing at the results of the YouTube instant poll, that we are sitting at 100%. You think the earth is round? I cannot tell you that. I can tell you that 86% of the YouTube voting public believes that the earth is round, but it appears 14% of you believe that the earth is flat. Come on. I know in times over the last almost 2 decades, I have threatened to ban many of you from not only listening to the show, but wielding my great long-reaching power, banning you from the internet, period. Where you go to log on tomorrow and know you are banned. You'll have to access the dark web instead, or get through dial-up modem, something along. But as far as high-speed internet is concerned, I will ban you. You 14%. It's not that I'm telling you that you're wrong for what you believe, but you're definitely wrong for what you believe. 14% of you think the earth is flat, which leads me into the start of this evening, which is many of you going, how could you just blow over or just drop the conversation that you had with your coworker about the whole family thinking the earth is flat, and then the other things that I mentioned. I don't even want to get into that again. That was a hot button topic. Again, all things that I don't believe, especially that other stuff. I mean, if I got to pick between what also I said and then the earth is flat, I guess I'll die on the earth is flat. But between the two, the other one was not a great option. But I didn't... Like, I told you exactly the conversation that took place. I told you, does that open up a bunch of questions? Do you just verbally outright start making fun of those people and eventually they leave because they can't take it anymore? Or they just unrelenting in their belief? Whatever, that's fine. I mean, you want to stick to your guns, stick to your guns. Let's have debate all day. That's why we have this show, of course. But that was about the end, the beginning, middle, and end of that discussion, and I haven't brought it up to my director of marketing since then because we're both of the same mindset anyway, so what's the use? Results of the poll question from last week, however, would you rather be muscular but ugly or gorgeous and fat? And 56% of you said you'd rather be fat. Fat! You guys, just when I think we're all aligning and we're in that same kind of mindset, just when I think the Barbecue Central show is becoming an echo chamber for me, you guys step up to the plate and prove me wrong once again. It is not an echo chamber. In fact, it is a cataclysmic marvel of what goes on. What do they call it? It's a microcosm of where we're living today. Crazy stuff. 89% of you now believe that the earth is round, and that's good to hear. Real good to hear. Grant Pinkerton is in the green room. We'll get to him here in just one moment. But before we get to that, something that we can all agree on. The best ceramic cooker is indeed Primo. Yes, of course. Now, what do we love about ceramic cookers, generally speaking? We love that they're fuel efficient, yes, especially on a day like today. Cleveland, oh, it's a burner today, 98 degrees. It snows 7 months out of the year. Shut up. Enjoy it. But on a day like today, with a proper load of charcoal, you dial in that draft right, and those ceramics get hot. If the weather stays like this for a couple days, there's a good chance that grill could run 48 hours on a load of charcoal if you're running it the right way. There's no doubt. Fuel miser. We love it. Also, you get low and slow for the traditional barbecue meats. Get rip-roaring hot if you want to do high-temperature grilling of steaks, other than cuts, whatever you like. It's like 2 grills in one when you're thinking about it. So don't let that sticker price kick you directly in the balls and have you down for the count. Remember, 2 cookers in one, cheap. Investment. Buy the best, only cry once. But when we really consider the high-end benefits, this ceramic cooker, amongst all other, gives you the real ability to do that true 2-zone cooking that you desire. We love 2-zone cooking, very important to both professional and backyard cooks. The best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a 2-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker isn't very realistic. Why? Because it is round. Primo Grill brings their game-changing oval design to the market. Shape gives you the ability to execute that 2-zone setup that you desire, along with all the other ceramic grill benefits as well. A number of accessories, only sold through dealers, so you got to find one. Go to primogrill.com, find a dealer near you, visit in person, touch and feel all the ovals, and then buy the one that best fits your needs. But don't cheap out. Many people have complained for buying down. Nobody's complained for buying up. Oh, my grill's too big. Said nobody ever. Don't buy down. You will have buyer's remorse. We don't want that. Primogrill.com is the place to go. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll be back with Grant Pinkerton right after this. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. My guest in the first hour runs one of the most respected barbecue brands in Texas. He has routinely been on the Texas Monthly Top 50 barbecue list. You have seen or heard him on various news programs, other podcasts. And tonight, making his debut appearance on the Barbecue Central Show. Let's go ahead and welcome first-timer Grant Pinkerton of Pinkerton's Barbecue to the show. Hey, Grant.
How are you doing?
I'm fabulous. Appreciate you joining the show here for the first hour. Very excited to have you. Longtime, faraway fan. Although, as we were kind of sound checking yesterday, I've been very close a number of times over the last couple years, but my lack of mapology forced me to believe you were just a little bit further away than you really are. And you're also open later than most barbecue places that I would traditionally know of or want to go try out. We'll talk about that here in a minute. We have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, and you're the guest tonight, Grant. Do you believe the earth is flat?
No, I do not. No. I'm definitely a round earth kind of guy.
Did you ever teeter on a flat earther belief?
I never met anybody that almost fell off the earth, so I'm on Team Round Earth.
91% of the YouTube voting public now agreeing with Grant and myself that the earth is indeed round. All right, so you are a Houston-born and bred guy, correct?
I am born and bred in Houston, Texas. Lived in Austin for a while. I went to the University of Texas at Austin, Hook 'em Horns. And when I moved back home, let's see, that was in 2013, started, just got into work and then was cooking in my backyard, my parents' backyard, and giving food away. And as I always tell everybody, it kind of got out of control. And here I'm sitting with 3 restaurants. So it's been a wild ride since then.
What did you go to college for?
Rhetoric and writing.
Rhetoric and writing?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like specifically, what do you? I mean, not to ask a dumb question here, but like, what's the speciality in that?
The major itself, or what is rhetoric?
Like, were you going to be a teacher doing that,
No.
or like, what was the goal? Speech writer?
I really like to write.
Yeah.
But it's not just writing; it's also visual. We had rhetoric of photography, video. Um, so it's speaking, writing, and any sort of media persuasion. And a lot of people use it as it's a great major to do before you go to law school.
Did you want to be a
That wasn't
lawyer?
no, I wanted to write actually.
Hmm. So
Um,
what would have been outside of the barbecue thing that has seemed to taken over, and you're obviously very successful at it? Would have you could redo it, not go into barbecue, continue on the writing and rhetoric path? Would you want to be like screenplay writer, TV show writer? What would you like to do?
no, I wanted to write for an outdoor magazine. I'm a big hunter and fisherman, and I always felt like I had a calling to be outdoors. So, the funny part is cooking barbecue is an outdoor thing. And when I got into that and there was kind of a fork in the road, I was starting a hunting and fishing outfitting business and cooking barbecue on the side and doing something else. I actually thought, well, you know what? You can hunt and fish when you're older, but it's a hell of a lot harder to start a barbecue joint when you're 50 or 60, So I had all the energy in the world. I was 24 and as people say, I was full of piss and vinegar, and I was ready to rock.
When you look at in your parents' backyard, well, I guess let me back it up for a second. As you're growing up, even before college, and I know Texas is the South, it's barbecue mecca and all this other stuff, but I wouldn't just automatically assume that the family is into barbecue or live fire. Was the family a barbecue friendly family?
My parents cook, but they're not barbecuers. So when I was 12 years old, I cooked my first brisket. I just had around 9. My dad tells a story all the time. I was actually outside cooking steaks with him, and he had some steaks on the grill, and I looked down, and he was talking to himself, and he's like, "Man, I wonder if these steaks are done." And I took my finger and I poked the steak, and I said, "They're done." And he kind of looked at me like this 9-year-old kid standing next to the grill. And he's like, "Oh, you really think so?" I'm like, "They're done. Take them off." And so he pulled them off the grill and in kind of like a fashion, like, "Man, I'm going to show you," right? Takes them inside, cuts them, and they're perfect. And he's like, "Hey, you want to cook steaks tomorrow?" So after that, I took over the grill, and grilling was so much fun, but it only lasted, 10, 15 minutes. So then I decided, hey, I really like a barbecue pit, and I'd like to try cooking brisket because I want to burn stuff for 12 hours. And I mean, I asked my dad for a barbecue pit for Christmas. It was a Weber Smoky Mountain.
Hmm.
I got it, and went to he took me to the butcher shop, and I said, "I'd like to smoke a brisket." And so the guy sold me a brisket, and I took it home. And I tell everybody, the first brisket I ever cooked, I followed the Legends of Texas cookbook recipe, which was a Cooper's recipe. It was salt and pepper and an hour a pound. And it turned out really awesome. And I was hooked. And then I proceeded to screw up the next 50 because I decided to keep adding stuff to it and changing the process up and, doing that kind of stuff. And you learn your lesson. After that, you kind of revert back to, hey, what the tried and true, traditional is good.
So I fancy myself a pretty decent backyard cook. I've had zero interest in ever starting a restaurant. I mean, in Cleveland, it's like probably triple dangerous because it's also winter most of the year before the weather actually gets nice. But outside of that, like I've never had anybody come over, eat my food, and go, that's kind of shitty. Everybody seems to love it because, for what I think, it's free. So, are you going to tell me my food is shitty when you're not paying me for it? So, I never bought into, you should start. Many people, you should get into a restaurant business, this and that. You're going through something similar. You're selling it out of the backyard, or people are just coming over to the backyard, and I'm sure everybody's pumping you full of sage advice on how Grant should get into this for a living. When do you decide I am going to take that risk? And then how do you try and get all those ducks in a row to give yourself the best shot of success?
Well, I I was working at a local gym at the time that was close. The owner of the gym was a family friend of ours. I was working the front desk, just, kind of figuring out exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And I was cooking on the weekends, and I'd bring the extras up because if you cook 2 or 3 briskets and you're just a one dude eating, you got a lot left over, right? So I'd take it up to work and give it away, and everybody really seemed to love it. And then people started wanting to pay me for my leftovers. So they'd be like, "Hey, Grant, man, if you have brisket left over, I'll pay you $100 for your leftovers." I'm like, okay, yeah, here you go. So that kind of started going, and then our family friend who was owner of the gym, he liked the barbecue too, but he pulled me aside and sat me down one day, and he said, Grant, you're 24, you live at home with your parents, you don't have a girlfriend, you have no debt. Now is the time to be an entrepreneur, and you have a real passion and gift for barbecue. And this guy was an entrepreneur himself, and I owe a lot to him. And I was like, man, I don't know. And he says, you really need to do it. So I noticed on the schedule the next week, my hours got cut. And he's like, hey, Tuesday or Wednesday, I forget what day it was, bring some barbecue in, bring beef ribs, brisket, ribs, sauce, whatever. I said, all right. So I bring it in, and he has like 5 of his friends from, just nice cross section of the community. And they're all there, and they say, hey, Cedric, I want to, you got some barbecue for us? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he gives them my barbecue. And so I sit there and listen to these 5 guys that, they're from the same city as I am, but they're, pretty different background than me, eat all the food, and they're wondering where he got it from. They're ranting and raving about it. And finally they get to the end, and he says, Grant actually cooked all that. And they broke their neck turning back around looking at me. And, one of them said, I know you a white boy, but you got some brother in you. And that statement right there gave me the confidence, that, hey, my barbecue appealed to more than just my friends, right?
Yep.
It spoke the language of everybody. And it was at that moment that I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I could do this, and what do I have to lose? I was when I graduated college, I got into recovery. So I was newly sober at the time, and my whole life was in front of me. And so I thought, man, this is a great thing for me to do on Friday and Saturday nights. So I took all the money I'd made, and I'd always had a dream of playing saxophone. And I had gotten one that past year. My parents had given it to me, and I went to my dad and I asked him to give me a little extra cash to make up the difference for this 20-year-old barbecue trailer I wanted to buy. And he said, well, I'm not going to give you the cash, but you can sell that saxophone that I gave you for it. And if you really want to do this barbecue thing, hopefully it works out, and you can buy one later. So I went and I sold it, and I bought that trailer. And that first weekend I had a pop-up, and they let me use the parking lot at the gym. So it was nice, vertically integrated sales pitch, eat barbecue, go back and work out. And I sold all this food, and I was sitting there, and I was only allowed to basically have $20 in my pocket at the time, and I'm sitting there staring at $1,200 worth of cash. But I looked out, and then all these people were out front with their families, eating barbecue, having a good time, just having fun, and they were all happy. And I realized at that moment in my life that I could make a living making people happy. And I said, man, this is awesome. My dad's a lawyer. My brother's a lawyer. My brother told me, he's like, man, nobody ever comes to a lawyer happy. They're always got a problem, and I'm here to solve it, and they got to pay me to do it. So he's like, you're really lucky. So I just decided I would have another pop up the next weekend, and got my social media going. And, it was back in the Texas craft barbecue thing was just barely getting going. There
What
really
year
wasn't
is it, do
very
you think?
much. That's 2014.
All right.
So, we started the trailer in 14, and we started the restaurant in 16. And, so we got that going. And, like I said, my world, everything in my world had just shifted. And so I was just kind of, bright eyed and bushy tailed and doing the barbecue thing. And, I I made it through the first summer, and now my dad tells me, it's like, I really thought, if you could make it through the first summer and you were still interested in it, then it was something real, and I did, and I loved it. I loved cooking. Cooking was it was basically my therapy. It was really relaxing. It still is, and it just kept growing and growing and growing, and had kind of an interesting marketing strategy. I felt like around here, barbecue is mostly something that it was mostly something that families ate, and they ate the same exact barbecue that they had been for the last 10 or 20 years. And then the kids grew up eating it too. And so that was like their barbecue place. People are like very, at least I don't know about in Cleveland, but here people are very like it's like a gang they're part of,
Yeah.
like, oh no, I eat at such and such's place. And I said, well, I don't really want to try to convince people that have been stuck eating at the same place for 30 years to come eat my place. I want to go open in an area where I know a bunch of people that are 25 to 30 or 20 to 30 years old that are starting families for themselves. And I want to be their barbecue place. And
Yeah.
the easiest way, I don't have any money, but I do have social media, and I can reach them for free through social media. And this is where my rhetoric degree came in, because through Twitter and Facebook and stuff, I say we're the 120 character generation. Now it's more than that, but how can I convince you that's never met me before that I have the best barbecue in town in 120 characters, and also get you to quit scrolling, right? Because
Mm.
that's the big thing. And I just kind of started marketing myself differently than other people, and the lines started coming, and we were popping up kind of outlaw style at bars, and all these. It was like a thing. It was like underground barbecue, and then it just naturally led its way to brick and mortar.
2 years of pop-ups?
Yeah, 2 years of pop ups, and a lot of guys, they get in the trailer and they cook every day. But I didn't think that was a very good it's just me. So as far as like sweat equity is concerned, staying up all night and cooking every day seems like a really bad strategy for a sustainable business. So what I said was, hey, every week or every other week, I'll have a pop up. It takes me about 5 days, but 3 days to do it, and then 2 days to clean up. Then I get 2 days rest. Maybe one week I do a pop up, next week I do a catering, right? But I always did a pre-sale so that I would never lose money. I would make sure that whatever money, and I would take money in advance from everybody. I would go to the store, I would just unload all the cash that they'd given me and buy meat. And then all the extra meat that I used the customers' money to pay for, I would sell to walk-ups after the pre-orders got filled.
Mhm.
And weather here is pretty unpredictable. It can rain, it can do all sorts of stuff. So I just made sure that I was never negative, right? Well, anytime we had a pop up, we at least had to break even or make a little money. It was never worth it for my time and my effort to take a step back. And so that's kind of how I decided to structure and run that business. And I tell a lot of guys when they're getting into this that that's the way you need to do it. And they don't really listen to me too often, but I think it was a good strategy.
So breaking even seems like you're not making any money. Are you doing something on the side to generate some extra income? Or were you
Well,
always winning?
I was still, well, I mean, I made money from the beginning, but I also lived on my parents' couch and I had no debt. So I met this really nice girl that I ended up marrying. And, we'd go out and on our first date, we split the bill.
Very
I didn't have very
romantic.
much money at all. I tried 3 times to get a pay, and she insisted, and I thought, "Man, this girl's pretty cool,"
Yeah.
So, worked.
So at the end of the second year, or as you're getting through that second year,
Mhm.
you're actively thinking we can take this road show and put it in a barn somewhere and make a go of it brick and mortar?
No, actually, I said, when people would ask me, "Do you think you're gonna open a restaurant?" I said, "I don't know. If I'm supposed to open a restaurant, God will tell me whether if I need to open a restaurant or not." And I said, "I don't know what that's gonna look like, but my next I'm done making decisions in my life. I'm just gonna wait till the next door opens." And, I was at a catering job one night for a gentleman, and he said, "You ever considered opening a restaurant?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "But when the time's right, I'll know." And I said, "Something will happen, and I'll either, close it up, or I'll know that it's the right move." And he said, "Well, if you're ever interested in opening a restaurant, please, I'd like to write you $100,000 check to make that happen." And I said, "Don't write me that check. Let me go home and think about it. And I'm going to call you. And if I want, investors or whatever, you'll be the first person I call." And I went home and I said, "Well, there's the sign." I said, "It's time to open a restaurant, whether I think I'm ready or not. This is it." And called the guy back and said, "You know what? I'll write. I'll take the check." And it cost a lot more money than that to open the restaurant, but I went out and found it, and there were people there that wanted to support me, and um, they liked the food, and there wasn't much around here at the time that was that quality. So, it was a good move for all them.
Can you let us behind the curtain a little bit on the business end? So if let's say I'm that guy, I'm stroking you that $100,000 check. What's the deal that you're making with him? Obviously, he's infusing you with some cash, but what's his kickback?
Man, I forget what the original deal was on that, but it ended up being all their best investment they made for that year. That's for sure.
So
But I
he's,
didn't give
he's
away.
getting money back, and then he's getting a percentage of like gross profit every month for X amount of time, or indefinitely.
It was
or?
like a preferential return type deal. So it was like almost like a loan with a tail,
Yep.
And I didn't give away a ton of my business, because I felt like, one, and I hear this a lot in this business. A lot of guys just give away the whole restaurant in order to get one open. Um, Man, I'm going to be doing all the work. I'm the one staying up all night. There's a million big fish in the pond with a bunch of cash in their pocket. You can find more. Um, but if I'm not making money, what's my incentive to keep busting my ass in a hard business and keeping this thing going?
Yeah.
And I hate owing people money. I hate it. So I spent, the first couple years running the restaurant, signing everybody else's check and never signing one for myself. I lived above it for 3.5 years. Like I said, the girl that I lived with, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she had a job, and we lived off a very, 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 very small income for those 2 years. With not really, no heat above it. Just, it was like that 8 miles uphill to school every day, but we loved it. It was like, it was a certain snapshot in time in our life. And, um, living above the restaurant for 3.5 years really allows you to really ingrain some culture into the place.
Do you know pretty quickly when you get the brick and mortar open that you're going to be successful?
Well, the day we opened, there was like 600 people in line. And so I felt pretty good about that. I remember waking up the next day after I was like, 48 hours of just really crazy, kind of craziness. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, man, I got to do it again. And I'm going to do it again for every day for the rest of my life, basically.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, here we go, And it was like, at that moment, I made a point to try not to hire anybody with any experience, because I felt like if I was stuck in the restaurant cutting brisket or those kind of things for the long term, that was not what was best for the business.
Yep.
Like, how could we scale? I looked at every other successful restaurateur in Houston, and there are some very successful ones. And man, they weren't stirring the sauce. They were running the show, right? And I thought long and hard about how they had their stuff set up and structured, and I kind of made a game plan. And anyway, I liked training people myself. I think that I'm a good teacher. I think that's one of my skills, is I really am good at simplifying barbecue for people and teaching them. And so I would just hire these guys that didn't really have any experience, except for they had a passion for it. They're a backyard guy or whatever, and they just really wanted to get into the business. And then I would train them how I did it. And it was great because I could leave or be doing something else, and I know the only way they knew how to do it was my way.
Hmm.
And that's been a really successful strategy for us. And we still, for the most part, the hardest way to get a job at Pinkerton's is I've worked at another barbecue place, and come apply. Still to this day.
You add a second location, eventually
Mhm.
at a third location out of town. So you have one in San Antonio, you have the two in Houston. As you look at where you started to where you are now, mid 2026, how much has stayed the same? How much has evolved over that 10-year span?
In the restaurant
Yeah.
or in barbecue?
Yeah, in the restaurant.
Well, a lot. I always tell everybody, people are like, "Oh, the barbecue's never changed. It's always the same there. It's super consistent," but it actually changes quite a bit every year. My whole goal is to, when I change it, nobody ever notices, but they just leave saying like, "Man, that was the ribs today were really extra good. Same profile, dialed in." Um, and so I do a lot of competitions too, and so I'll test some things on the competition trail, because it's basically a free sample group, and then I'll roll them back into the restaurant, in kind of a way that works for mass scale, right? Um, certain tweaks to a sauce or rubs, or we've changed techniques before. We changed the entire way we cooked brisket 2 summers ago, while I was out of town in Montana. I just had like just a moment where I really wanted to change things, and I did it all over the phone. And then we got the Michelin Guide that year, so I think it worked.
What did you change?
I changed how we were cooking, and like our pull time, and the method of which, and the temperature. I had them pull all the tuning plates out of our close pit and cook at a much hotter temperature,
Huh?
decrease the finishing temperature, and hold for a longer period of time. I don't know. I just, I just thought about it in my head, and it made sense to me. And so I told him, do this tomorrow and see what happens. And then film it and send it back to me and let me know. And so over the course of 3 or 4 days, we redialed in the brisket. By the time I got back from Montana, I say it's the best brisket we'd ever been serving. And I was proud of myself for that one. And and then they were doing the Michelin tasting during that time. And so I felt like, I don't know, that was another one of those moments that I just was kind of struck with this idea to change something, and it ended up working out.
I feel like the dirty secret or rumor is that, well, Texas barbecue, Central Texas barbecue is cooked this way. Everybody kind of uses the same seasonings. Everybody kind of uses the same beef, same cooking pro. The magic is in the hold. They're taking tomorrow's briskets off. Let's say, at Tuesday at 6 p.m., you're taking briskets off, and those are going to be put in an alto sham. They're going to be held until Wednesday's dinner service. So the ones you're taking off Tuesday night are the ones you're going to serve on Wednesday. Maybe a little far-fetched or exaggerated, but there is this long talked about extensive hold time that seems to put Texas barbecue over the top when compared to some other regions that cook brisket. How much of that is true?
I think it definitely helps. For me, it helps a lot because we serve from 10 to 10. I mean 11 to 10. So that's a long period of cooking. I mean of cooking, but also, I mean, of serving. So the other thing though is that's also an extended period of holding just within the day itself.
Mhm.
I think, like I said, consistency is the name of the game. And at least my thought in doing it was, if I can pull at a temperature instead of a feel, if I have 3 locations and 8 or 10 guys in each pit room, that's 30 different hands that have a different feeler, right? And if it's like making sauce or casing sausage, every person's going to be slightly different. And back before we had this method, people would, I could tell who pulled each brisket. Like each one had a signature style of how the tenderness would be on that brisket, and they all thought it was correct. And I would describe to them exactly what I was looking for, and they'd be like, "Yep, exactly, that's how it is." But they were all different, right? So I felt like if we can dial it into it, pulling out a temperature and putting a little science on that end, that would help create consistency in our product, and would help the product overall.
If you never made it into the Texas Monthly Top 50 list, how much would that change your business?
Now
Ever?
or then? Well, when the first time we made it, the 2017 list, I think that was like pinnacle list of Texas Monthly. Um, it was like the craft barbecue age had really flourished, and you had all this place a lot of still are around, but I just remember our business doubled overnight, and that was it. It never went looked back. It's been going up and since. And I've talked to other people. It was at a particular junction in time where everybody wasn't on Instagram. Influencers weren't everywhere, right? People couldn't just open an app and find good food like super easy. Um, and there was still like all these people were learning about craft barbecue for the first time. And when that list came out, people were like, "Holy shit," and let's travel to all of these. And as soon as that happened, all the stuff that I just mentioned, it happened too. So nowadays, people can open Instagram up and search a hashtag or their favorite food person, or there's so many barbecue people commenting on things that, people have a good idea of what's good now. And my philosophy then and that top 50 in 2017 was these people are going to go around. Like, let's say we had 8 places in Houston or 7 places in Houston. Everybody's going to, I mean, it was crazy, dude. Like, everybody's just rushing around to all these different places and trying them. And I said, it doesn't matter what the list says or what a writer says. The people are going to pick what their favorite ones are, and those are going to be the winners.
Yep.
And that played out, you know. And I felt like, they tried them all and then they settled in, and it was that 17 list was nuts. And then the subsequent lists that have come out, um I've talked to some people, and at least people that have been on it before. It just wasn't the sonic boom like that one. But I think it was mostly because the influencers weren't around. I mean, it was the source of it was the oracle of barbecue. And anyway, it changed my life, that's for sure, and I owe a great deal of gratitude to being on that. And I was nervous as hell the night before. I had a slight inkling they'd called me for a fact check, but even this last time when we made it on, they did the same thing, and I'm like, maybe they called me for a fact check for some other list, like the best ribs in the state, but you missed the top 50, or they have the recommended or the best of the rest or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe it's for that. But I couldn't sleep that night before. My wife, my now wife, had like an engagement that she had to go to the day before, and I said, I can't go. I basically just stayed up in the apartment above the restaurant the entire day and watched TV and played video games and just tried to like pretend it wasn't happening. I don't really play video games, but I just needed something to take my mind off it. And it was a long day and night, and I think I'm not really a crier, but my wife tells me I cried when that happened, the first one. It was a culmination of a lot of things in my life coming together.
Sounds like.
So that happened, and I am a person, I don't allow myself to pat myself on the back. I probably should do it more often, but it was like, okay, well, we're on it, so it's day one. We need to maintain it, And the guys are like, oh, can we have a cake? I'm like, nope. Keep going forward,
Let's talk economics a little bit. We all know, and it's been a large topic of this show for the last number of months, if not a year. Beef market, highly volatile, roller coaster, whatever you want to call it. So as an operator moving volumes of prime brisket every day, what is the true state of meat prices right now in mid-2026, and how are you navigating those margins without compromising quality or pricing out the regulars?
Well, we made the decision a long time ago to not decrease quality in order to stagnate price. I believe that our customers are ones that will pay for the quality. That's what their expectation is, and that's what they want. I think at our stores we've lost the value customer a long time ago. At the beginning of craft barbecue, when $22 a pound for brisket was, oh my God, and but I feel I leaned in. I've always loved cooking pork and ribs, and I mean now we're doing whole hog at our restaurant. Um, I was a uh, I tell the judges at Memphis, mate, I have a passion for pigs. I don't know what to say. But cooking ribs was like my calling card. It's like I was deadly on the competition trail in ribs, and um, we just put a lot of effort into our ribs at the restaurant, and they weren't traditional Central Texas style ribs by any means. Um,
You cook the Texas
and they got
competitions mostly?
yes.
Yeah.
I've cooked a lot of different ones.
Yep.
I've even cooked all the way up in Galax, Virginia, and an
Oh, yeah.
MDN up there.
Yep. Yep.
So we have a heavy emphasis on pork at our restaurant, just putting a lot of quality out, and it shows. I'd be shocked if there's any selling as many pork ribs as we do in the state.
What do you look at from a menu expansion standpoint? When I talk to a lot of operators, originally started out and it seemed like they just had a volume of items that they wanted to put on the menu, whether it was trying to be everything to everybody or they just felt everything that they could cook was going to be great, should be on the menu. Did you start tight and expand, or did you go big and whittle back?
No, we've always had a really tight menu at our restaurant. This is not a place to come if you want 15 different protein options. But right now, the places we've expanded, we hit a RGC in chicken at the Houston World Championship a few years ago, and we took that profile and put it on a boneless, skinless chicken thigh, and that turned out to be a real good seller for us, along with our turkey. So, having two poultry options, and actually when we made the last Texas Monthly list, that was one of the items that they highlighted. And I remember reading it in the magazine. I'm like, oh, thank God they didn't talk about the beef ribs. The chicken thighs, I'm actually going to make some money off of. I'm not going to make any money off of the beef rib.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I was really happy about that. And we've expanded into a little bit more pork products. So we cook a pork prime rib, which is basically like a bone-in loin chop with the spinalis still attached, and then I'll debone it and kind of cure it for a couple days, and then smoke it really, really slowly. And people really like it. It's delicious. But basically, you got your classic trinity: brisket, ribs, sausage, chopped pork. But even at current price, it's hard to get Texans, at least, to just drop the brisket and switch to shoulder. So,
Is it
I'm
the
sure that day's
Texans that are a
coming.
problem, or is it the tourists that are a problem?
For what, eating the beef?
Yeah.
Oh no, if
Texans.
if you could give people $5 chopped shoulder sandwiches here, and they would still choose a $15 beef sandwich.
Yeah.
I will go in there and I'll eat the chopped pork. I love it. And we do sell a lot of ribs though, so I think that helps offset our cost, and I don't see beef coming down anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I do think that slowly but surely people are going to get more accustomed to eating pork barbecue here. And a big thing for us is on Saturdays, instead of cooking 15 or 20 more briskets, we put a 200 something plus pound hog on the pit, and we sell that thing on the line.
What do you see for the next 5 years for craft barbecue?
Well, I know that recently, well, not so recently, I guess, maybe 6 years feels recent though. There's a lot of fusion going on. I tell people all the time, like, that's not who I am. I'm a pretty straight shooter when it comes to barbecue. But I definitely think there's been like an over proliferation of places that have opened, and there's probably going to be a consolidation. I I think by 2027, the average price of brisket in Texas will be over $40 or more. And that's to tell you that's $5 away from where I am right
Yeah.
now, but
Yep.
there's already places that are at 40 or 38, a lot of them. So that's happening. Um, I think some people are gonna overreact and hurt themselves by getting too far away from what people want by being too worried about charging for what people actually want.
They're not going to charge enough, you mean?
No, they're gonna pivot their menu too much and they're gonna lose their customers.
4th of July coming up this weekend. So for the everyday ham and egger out in the backyard, like what are you recommending to cook? And then if you're going to do high heat grilling, I think, most of the people are going to be grilling versus barbecuing if we get into that whole argument. But what are the top 2-3 mistakes that you think everybody makes, and what are you suggesting they give a whirl?
Well, I think that one of the things that I've been cooking a lot lately is actually like pork chops, and I'll go to the I'll go to the grocery store and I'll find some. I mean, we use Prairie Fresh at the restaurant, and they're great, but just a nice marbled pork chop. And then I think the big thing is this is a great. I mean, it's a great thing to cook for 4th of July, but a highly marbled pork chop and then pull it at 142, 145 degrees is. I mean, people have just been overcooking their pork for so
Yeah,
long
forever.
that people kind of turned away from it. But I cooked a pork porterhouse at my house 2 nights ago that we pulled at 142, and I just seasoned it with just salt and let it sit on the counter for 45 minutes and pull some of that salt in there, and then I grilled it really hard like you would sear a steak and then kind of offset it a little bit and let it go. I mean, it ate like a steak. I finished it
Mhm.
with like a basil pesto and pecorino cheese and lemon. It was phenomenal. Um, but my mother came over to drop something off at the house. Said, "Hey, try this pork chop," and she ate it. And her first thing she said was like, "Man, this thing eats just like a really like a good steak." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, it's really important not to overcook pork chops and a lot of pork items, and we've all been doing that." So, for all those people out there that are listening, please, 145 degrees is the new safe temperature for pork. Like it's even like the USDA is already changed their stuff on it. And then I like cooking ribs. Even like some of my favorite ribs I've ever cooked have been on a Weber grill over coals, and I just put the coals on one side and I'll sear them off and I'll put them on the other and close the lid for an hour. High heat, man. It's like 350, 400 degrees in there. And my wife calls them old school ribs because they taste pretty old school. And you know, salt, pepper, a little bit of everything rub on there, which is a rub of ours. And man, those are delicious. So those are two things that'll be getting cooked at the Pinkerton household this weekend.
How many competitions are you doing in a year?
Well, I always say like I'm like I break my life down into seasons. So January starts the competition season and June ends it because
Oh,
it's too hot here.
yeah.
And it's not enjoyable anymore. And I'm around barbecue every day, so it's not like I'm getting my fill on the weekends and then going back to my desk job. So I don't need it to scratch the itch. I love the camaraderie of competition barbecue. I love the like just loony luck that's involved sometimes where you have great boxes that do horrible and then you turn in a terrible box that does good. That's just kind of fun. It also keeps me grounded when reading judges scorecards. It's like you're just not gonna be able to please everybody, which is a
Yeah.
good lesson to remember in the restaurant game too. And some people just have bad taste, and that it's okay. It's okay to remember that. Um, and then summer, like mid-June through August, is fishing and vacation season. So it slows down at the restaurant in July and August. and I like to do a lot of fishing during that time. And then fall is football season, so we actually have we actually go up to Austin and we have a tent set up at the University of Texas games, and the university has us set up and sell food there. So a lot of weekends are taken up that. I'm an avid football fan, so
Yeah.
I'm at all those games. And then it's kind of like hunting season. I'm a big duck hunter and deer hunter, goose hunter. And then it's January again, and it's time to hit the trail. Now this year was derailed because we opened the restaurant January 20th, and I was in the restaurant 60 straight or 58 straight days for 14, 16 hours. So, I had my fill of barbecue, but we did the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. We did the Hogs for the Cause, which we have our own team out there. And we did Memphis in May. And then we traveled up to New York for an event, a cooking event in New York City in April. So we did 4.
Do you do the Michener fundraiser?
I do.
Then?
I've been
Yeah.
doing it, I
Yeah.
think, since the first year it happened.
Yeah, I'd love to get up.
So, that's a great time.
Yep.
It happens to always fall on my wife's birthday weekend. Like it's always the same. So she gets to spend her birthday in New York City every year. So her gifts always rock,
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
Gets to go out to good dinners. Anyway, it works out well for us. We took my 3-year-old daughter this year. It was a good time. So next year we're looking forward to knocking off a few more of those. And then obviously this summer we would do more, but I have a baby boy coming in early August. So
Hey, congrats.
I'm super occupied.
Yeah. You gonna watch that new barbecue show coming out on the 13th?
Yeah, they called me to be on that. And it was
yeah?
filmed the same. Yeah, it was filmed the same days as the Michener. And I was like, I'm taking my 3-year-old and my wife for her birthday on a trip to New York City. I can't back. I'm like, sorry, I'm booked. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, maybe you can work around it. There's another person that's going to be at the Michener that's going to do that this year. And I'm like, I think you missed the point where I said my wife's birthday and my 3-year-old's first trip to New York.
Yeah.
If it was just a work trip, yeah, I could cancel it, but I'm not burning those brownie points,
No. Yeah, I mean, you only get to do
So-
that, once. So,
Sounds really cool. It was actually I've been called quite a few times to be on some shows, and a lot of them don't pique my interest at all. And this was being an outdoorsman. This was the first one that I had when they said it was 2 people, man, I had the second guy. I even called him and was like, dude, we're going to get on this show and we're going to make some noise on this thing.
who was going to be your partner?
He works for me. His name's Louis Gonzalez. He's our director of barbecue ops. He's also, we just literally, we met each other at a competition several years back. He set up across from me and got to talking. He was a great guy. I volunteered to help me out at Memphis in May and got to know each other a little better. And then he was like, hey man, you mind if I work at the restaurant just a few hours to make a little extra cash? Man, sure. And he's one of these guys that he came in and he treated the place like it was his own, and he was only there 20 hours a week, And he was he's an electrician, and he's like, I love barbecue. I'd like to become full time. I'm like, all right. Anyway, he's done everything right, and we cook really well together. Like, he was in the trailer with me at Memphis in May this year, helping me box stuff, and when it comes to cooking barbecue, we fit together like a puzzle.
Yeah. Grant Pinkerton joins us here on the show. Pinkerton's Barbecue, spelled the right way, BARBECUE.com is the website. Grant, appreciate the extended time here this evening and continued success. Next time we get down there, obviously, I'm going to give you a shout so we can get up there and have some great Pinkerton's barbecue. But in the meantime, continued success.
Thank you very much.
You got it. There he is, Grant Pinkerton, right there. Great story, success, and story of recovery that he just briefly mentioned, but that didn't go unnoticed either. Wow. 3 years on top of the restaurant. There you go. The way to do it. Again, Pinkerton's Barbecue, BARBECUE, 2 locations in Houston, 1 in San Antonio, so check them out. If you are looking for top quality Texas monthly, top 50 rated barbecue, and it has been List after list since 2017. Oh, where did I go? Here we go. Before we wrap the first hour, this show proudly sponsored by our pals over at Fireboard, makers of the Fireboard 2, the Fireboard Pro, the Fireboard Spark, the Fireboard Beacon, the wireless Fireboard Pulse. You can experience total control over all of your devices from anywhere in the world with the Fireboard app. So you can find out more by visiting the website, fireboard.com, or call them, 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232 today. All right, we're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We thank Grant Pinkerton for joining us for the last hour. Pinkerton's Barbecue, BARBECUE.com, the website. 2 locations in Houston, 1 in San Antonio. Visit him, support him. Guy that's giving back, guy that's seen a lot of success, stays humble, love it. Great work ethic, looking to help people out, all the good stuff. All right, so we are ready to roll into the second hour. So refresh your libations if you are libationing, soft, or if you're into the adults, whatever you like. Got some things to move through here. We'll get your poll question update, and then we'll call it an evening. You're listening and potentially watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners. Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. If you missed the first hour, shame on you. You missed a great conversation with our new pal, Grant Pinkerton from Pinkerton's Barbecue. A correctional officer for Lock Do 763. I mean, can we get a better name? How about Steve or Tim? Grant, that's awesome. You cooked a brisket at 12, whereas most Texans shot their first boar at 12. Well, correctional officer for Lock Do 763, exclamation point, asterisk, and question mark. If I was listening to Grant correctly, Grant probably shot his first boar at like 6 or 7. And moved on. He became a expert marksman on boar and whatever else wildlife is in Texas. Moved on to putting his finger on steaks and telling his dad when to take those off. That was a great story. Still to come on the show this evening, me, lucky you. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show to watch, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. where we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. Oh, dear. And we're asking everybody, including all guests, do you think the earth is flat? 90% of you do not. I'm sorry.
Andrew,
you do not think the earth is flat. Thank goodness. Because I'm seeing how many people have voted. Multiples of you think that the earth is flat. And I see here in the instant chat, now that I'm taking a look, David Yule, wrong button, damn phone. Yes, it is flat, but too late, David. You think the earth is flat. And so you have voted as such, and so we must always now believe, no matter what you say, that you truly believe the earth is flat, and you are backpedaling very, very quickly. But it's not going to work here because the internet is always and forever. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 440, taking you back to June 24th of 2008, where the show in its live format, only 4 months old, 4.5 months old if we're getting specific. And we are featuring Merle Whitebook from a then KCBS board position. Merle, a lawyer by profession. I believe Merle is dead currently, so R.I.P. Merle, unless I'm incorrect, and then I've spoken a little too forwardly, a little too in advance. But I believe Merle is dead, so R.I.P. Merle. But Merle appeared 2 or 3 different times during the beginnings of this show, when there was a lot more competition focus, and it was a big deal to get KCBS board members or people that were running for the board or whatever. And what if we come to find out all the way back in 2008, as we sit here in 2026, almost 20 years ago, and we have this one of the same gripes and bitches and complaints that you hear 20 years ago that you hear today. What is that? Judging. Can you believe that 20 years later there is complaining about judging? And if you really pay attention, a lot of the same complaints 20 years later that you hear about when it comes to judging that they had 20 years ago when they were complaining about the judging. And Merle Whitebook was talking about a article that was written by a competition barbecue cook out of Indianapolis, Indiana at the time, like Hoosier Barbecue or whatever, something like that. Apologize if that name is wrong, but you'll hear the proper name when the show comes out on Friday. And this particular cook gave extensive advice and suggestions and marks of improvement in the KCBS, and Merle said that he indeed had written or had read the email and reached out to this person via email exchange and thought it was a great idea. But, you know, lo and behold, 20 years later, this still is an issue. That's still an issue. And that's where competition barbecue begins to live and die. I mean, how long do you go on and have the same issues before popularity starts to wane, sponsorship starts to wane, all this other stuff? So that's what you can look forward to on the show this coming Friday. Don't forget you can subscribe to the Best Moment Show and this show if you go to thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. Also, if you would like to hear a past guest or segment again that you feel has been lost in the extensive archives, you can email John. Let him know you would like to hear. John's email address, jon@thebbqcentralshow.com. That is thebbqcentralshow.com, and he'll do his best to meet your expectation. I failed you once more, my friends. I should have results of the final Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series. The last one took place this past weekend in Hermitage, Tennessee. I'm surprised that Matt Osmond, who said that he was a contestant and that there were potentially 3 other openings to go along with perhaps he was the 5th or 6th person, so they were looking for 8 or 9 total teams. I will make sure that post-show I get in touch with Terrell Miller and get the results. I will give them to you next week, and that way we can see how Famous Dave's closes out the season and who gets to go, or who the last round of golden ticket winners are. So I don't want to make sure, or I want to make sure that I give myself enough time here to do the housekeeping portion. Oh, I see what I did there. I got a little too smart for me. No problem. Let's do this quickly. Are you ready, gang, for a cigar experience like no other, but has also been built on history and passion? Yes, of course you are. Let me tell you about McAuliffe Cigars, a partnership forged between Texas passion and a Cuban cigar-making dynasty whose heritage spans back to the 1930s. Whether you seek the nuanced elegance of the Magdalia or the complex power of the Leyenda, McAuliffe offers a symphony of flavor for every palate. And don't forget about the ever-expanding color series, an unmatched smoking experience coupled with an unmatched value. The most recent cigar color is white. There is a new color out. Guess what? I have the new color. I'm smoking it under secret. Can't tell you what the color is. Can't tell you what it's made up of. Can tell you it's a banger. If you're more on the milder side, this one might be for you. The black and the red and the green, too much. Definitely the white is your friend. I would gather to say that definitely. What are you doing? What are you doing? Jeff, I just banned your comment. We're not giving that out. Are we giving that out? Shit. Well, now I don't remember. I'm not going to risk it. All I'm telling you is I have the new color. I'm smoking it like every other colored cigar that in the color series that McAuliffe makes. It's well constructed, smokes great, and it's going to be right in that budget-friendly dollar amount. That's what I can tell you. Taste the tradition. Visit McAuliffeCigar.com to find a retailer nearest you. MICALLEF, McAuliffeCigars.com. And we are back with me right after this. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Jeff, I was just thinking through the break, the extensive and long break. I think I don't say that because I have it. And I'm currently smoking it, so I'm not trying to get that out there and then get in trouble. Because Amanda McAuliffe said, we can give you, don't take any pictures, don't talk about, blah, 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 not until we're ready to release, I believe, in September, which is when you will probably find her back on this show talking about whatever the new color might be. No names, please. Jeff, no names, please. And we are back with an open segment. Everybody loves the open segment, of course, where I start clearing things out. Oh, by the way, the rest of the show is sponsored by Qdoba. Everybody see that? I got to put on my Qdoba bucket hat. Now you can't even see my eyes, so you don't know if I'm reading word for word from anything or what, but I will tell you that who? Didn't have this pulled up. Very unprofessional. Is it Amy? No. Rose from a marketing firm that evidently represents Qdoba. Boy, I love a good bucket hat, and this one is sharp. I'm going to wear it out in the yard. It's going to keep some of the UV rays off of my face and nose. So we're wearing this for the remainder of the show. Also, Qdoba coming in strong with the old school lunchbox. So now I can take this to work. Where I put in my chicken. You know, you can put out whatever you want in there. Jeff, we could throw some Bovida humidor packs in there. It could be travel humidor if we wanted to. Seems to seal pretty good. So we have the Qdoba lunchbox. I'll be taking that to work every day. Like, hey, everybody, Qdoba for me. Also, I mean, you're not going to believe this. This cute little tumbler. I would call it a, I don't know, 2 ounce. Could fit like just a couple little ice nuggets in here. You wanted to put a little double shot of your favorite whiskey or whatever hard beverage in here. You can ice it down, 3 ice nuggets, not full-size cubes, maybe 1 full-size cube, maybe 2 smaller full-size cubes. This is cute. I believe it's probably insulated, so I'm going to give this thing a whirl over the weekend. And then, of course, no gift bag is replete or complete without the ever-popular Qdoba fanny pack. So, if I go to Cedar Point, I'm going to be wearing this, of course, where I can put my phone, my billfold, keep that nice tight to the person, although there are some particular roller coasters where you have to take everything off. You can't even wear a properly secured Qdoba fanny pack. You can't wear that. You got to put it in a locker that you got to rent because they're there fucking you every chance they get. But that's all right. And the most important part of the Qdoba whole thing, the Barbecue Central Show Qdoba sponsorship. I mean, let's just lie about it, right? $50 gift card to try the new, hold on, let me tell you, otherwise I'm not doing my job here. The just dropped Qdoba summer lineup, which includes churro chips and the spicy tequila lime steak. Boom. That sounds like protein to me. Spicy tequila lime steak. So I will take that gift card. There is a brand new Qdoba right up the street, right next to Dave's Hot Chicken, but we're not going to talk about them because I don't have a Dave's Hot Chicken bucket hat. I have a Qdoba bucket hat, and they are sponsoring the show here in the second hour. So just a wonderful surprise. They reached out. They said, hey, are you interested in trying it? I said, hey, rule number 3 of the show applies. And a couple days later, Big Bob, I'm like, what the hell is this? And I got the lunchbox, the fanny pack, this thing, the very small tumbler deal, which you can see is cut out to fit in your cup holder in the car. And the $50 gift card. So we could treat at least 2 to 3 human beings to the new spicy tequila lime steak. And I'll be talking about that hopefully before the next embedded correspondence round. So go to Qdoba, for crying out loud. They're sponsoring the show, and you should help them. And you probably got one near you, and you've been secretly pining away for spicy tequila lime steak from somebody. And Qdoba finally listened and said, you know what? We are going to give the people what they want, and they're going to give Rempy a bucket hat. We're all winners in life here, is what I'm saying. Email from Cracks Country Cooking. Good afternoon, Greg. In Guga's latest video on the Guga channel, and he's got like 4 channels, at 25 minutes in, He eats horse meat and said it was good. Wonderful. My question is, does that make you respect him more? I get it. I typically put on Guga when I'm trying to take a nap. Not much sense on his channels. Too much nonsense on his channels. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Ben Caraz. Oh, Ben with that last name.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Hold on. Karazikowicz. Here we go. Or Krasuski. Cracks Country Cooking. Ben, I do want to make something robustly, exponentially, expressly clear. I don't disrespect Guga. I have ultimate respect for Guga, everything he has accomplished. Full stop, as the douchebags say. I just don't like anything he's doing. I don't not respect him. I just don't like the content. Now, allow me to contradict myself immediately. He did have Malcolm Reed on a number of recent videos. Malcolm did tease that last time he was on. I'm a fan of that. More of the Malcolm side. But at some point, Guga hit he went left and I went right, and we've just never been able to realign on if I like the content or not. And who cares? 58 million of you, or whatever the number is, subscribe and you like it. So, as I have always said routinely on the show, I consistently live in the minority of everything. Most of you like X, and I probably don't, and that's all right. Did I mention that we have spicy tequila lime available at Qdoba now? Are you still listening to the show when you should be running to get it before it closes? It's probably closed now. It's 10:21 Eastern. So, Ben Karikowicz, let me make sure we're on the same page here. I don't not respect Guga. I do have a large amount of respect for Guga. I mean, did they ask to come on my show to promote his book only to back out at one point? Yes, of course. I'm not holding a grudge. Here's some great news. I don't know if you heard about this.
BBQ Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire news across the country, nay, the globe, and I don't know if it necessarily counts as live fire, but Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest on July 4th will air on ABC for the first time ever. National recognition, I mean, certainly ESPN, who I believe has aired it for well over a decade, technically national availability. But when we're talking about the blue bloods of broadcast medium and specifically TV, ABC is there. So the fact that Nathan's is getting on ABC, a win for all MLE and Joey Chestnut and whoever those other people are that are literally vying for second place, and it's not even close. Remember, last year, Joey Chestnut beat his record last year. Is that a lie? I think I'm lying now that I think about that. I better fact check myself. Let me go to the Google AI. Did Joey Chestnut break his Nathan's famous record last year? And Google says the following. No. Oh, fuck. Joey Chestnut did not break his Nathan's famous record last year. He successfully reclaimed the mustard belt at the 2025 Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest after missing the previous year, obviously. In 2025, he ate 70.5 hot dogs and buns, his all-time world record, which he established back in 2021, 76 hot dogs and buns. Now, I believe the year off in 2024, he blew past 76 and was like into the 80s when he did that indoor cooking thing on Netflix, when he made sure that everybody knew, remembered, and will forever remember that Kobayashi is Joey's bitch. I mean, out-ate him like it was Eater X, for crying out loud. So he did not beat it last year, and it promises to be hot, although it's not necessarily as hot as it will be midweek as it is coming into the weekend, but still could be hot, and we've heard it time and time again. Outdoor weather elements will affect the overall eat for competitive eaters, especially Joey. He has said it at least twice on the show. By the way, Joey Chestnut has been on this show twice. So look no further than ABC for the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest. Not to be outdone is our pal Steve Ray. I don't know if you knew this.
Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio once again. This is the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country and the globe. Owl's Nest Barbecue hosting a first annual hot dog eating contest this coming Saturday, July 4th, just before the main event in New York City. Steve's event starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Nathan's Famous starting at noon. At Steve's event, you will see the likes of Sean Kessler, dare I say, Donnie Hall, the inimitable Sean Williamson, and do I see Jason Flowers? Why, yes. And might we see a Billie Holiday? Yes, we could see a Billie Holiday, all battling it out for a $300 cash prize. Steve, if you needed more money, you could have asked me for a sponsorship. $300. Is it winner takes all? $300? Oh, who cares? By the way, after the event, free hot dogs with all the fixins. So if you have occasion to be in, near, or around Ooltewah or Ooltewah, Tennessee this July 4th, make sure that you plan a visit to Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply Store. Be there by 10 a.m. where you will see these 5 competitive eaters go at it for their chance to win $300. And then the real prize begins post-event, where you can eat your face off with free hot dogs, because I assume these would be the ones that don't get eaten during the actual competition itself. Please note for Steve's event, if you cannot make it in person and you enjoy those, and if you can't make it in person and enjoy the free Glizzies post-match, you can stream this thing live on Facebook. Owl's Nest Barbecue Facebook page. You can stream it, and there you go. Do I have more things to talk about? I do. I gotta make sure I restack the deck here. Right? No more reads. We're caught up. So stick around, and then I will continue to talk after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we welcome you back. For those of you that love when I talk and would rather have the show be me with sparsely or a smattering of guests, this is the hour for you. I have a lot to talk about. I mean, when was the last time I dominated? I don't remember. Probably beginning of the year. By the way, if you didn't notice, this segment also sponsored by Qdoba. If you didn't know, they just dropped churro chips, also spicy tequila lime steak. They also gave me a bunch of other cool things in a box, not the least of which was a $50 gift card for me to put that spicy tequila lime steak in my face sooner than later, so I'll report back on that. But that's why, if you're just tuning in now and you're wondering why I'm wearing a bucket hat and you can't see my eyes, it's because Qdoba is sponsoring the show this evening. Here's something else maybe nobody knew about.
Barbecue Central
Another
Show
breaking
exclusive news
another
update.
one. Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire news across the country, nay, the globe. Gang, did we know this? I don't know if we knew this or not. If you go buy a new Blackstone griddle right now, and by the way, this isn't me hearing this from somebody, like this is my legitimate purchase for my father-in-law, and then me vetting out this very fact. This is not a West Wright news break. This is me bringing the news to you, and I don't have to confirm this because I bought it and it is labeled as such. Blackstone now offering on their griddle plate, which is the omnivore griddle plate on everything now, pre-seasoned griddle plates. If you're a fan of the show, you know I had long wondered as the merge or the combination or the mashup or whatever you call it between Blackstone and Weber took place. When are they going to have the pre-seasoned griddle plate technology go over to Blackstone? Well, guess what? It's there. We bought a 2-burner Blackstone for my father-in-law for Father's Day a couple weeks ago. I was helping him move it into the backyard and find its forever home on his walkway in the back there on the patio. And we had also, I never saw any release about it. I never saw any media about it. I had asked Wes Wright about it. He never said, oh, hey, by the way, breaking news, Blackstone is now offering preseason griddle plates. None of that. None of you said, hey, by the way, did you know? And like, audience was always last ditch for news, but nobody was coming to me about this. So not thinking about it, I bought a big ass jar or bottle of grapeseed oil so he could use that to do the burn in or seasoning process. Look, don't fall for that bullshit Blackstone seasoning stuff. Don't buy that. It's $13 or $14. I doubt if you can get through a proper seasoning before you'd have to buy a couple of those. And you get 10 times the amount of grapeseed oil at $3 or $4 less than you're going to get for that Blackstone seasoning paste or whatever the hell they call it. Don't fall for that. I'm not trying to talk myself out of a sponsorship with Blackstone. I'm just trying to help you save your thin gilders where it makes sense. Buy the grapeseed oil or, something else in bulk. Don't waste your $14 on the seasoning paste or the seasoning cream or whatever it is. Understand, easy, makes sense, buy it in a package. Please, use your money wisely. Spend your money wisely. Grapeseed oil, high smoke point, get the job done, and you'll have plenty of it left over. All that to tell you, we gave them all the extra stuff that we bought, and as I opened up the lid, right there on the top of the dome, it said, pre-seasoned griddle plate. I couldn't have been more happy. I said, Bob, good news, bad news. I spent $12 on this huge bottle of grapeseed oil that you're never going to have to use because it's pre-seasoned. Somewhere along the line, maybe recently, I don't know, Blackstone and Weber teamed up and infused the pre-seasoned griddle technology over on the Blackstone side. Makes sense to me. Also makes me believe we are even closer to either dropping the Weber brand or the Blackstone brand and finally just culminating into one brand. Maybe you call it the Weber Blackstone griddle, so you keep the Blackstone name. I don't know. We do have Roger Daly confirmed for next month, so we're going to ask him all these questions. So if you're in the market for a Blackstone specifically, be on the lookout. Make sure that the one you're getting has utilized that pre-seasoned griddle plate technology, also has the Omnivore griddle plate, which has those, Roger will explain it, but better heat control, the prevention of griddle heat creep, all that other stuff. So that's a good piece of news. And I guess lastly, and I'm going to keep the other things here. I'll keep that one for, keep those two. I'm hearing this from my daughters a lot. This is troubling. Ben, what is going on with your lack of man quality handshake? I mean, where are we as a society of men and women, but definitely men? If your handshake is subpar, I question everything about what you stand for. I think you're a liar. If your handshake is subpar, anything you tell me after that handshake, I'm taking with a grain of salt, and it's probably a lie. If you can't shake hands like a man, firm handshake, look me in the eye. You know, we're meeting here with the handshake. You're not getting me fingertips, limp fish, none of that. I want a firm handshake like a man when we meet. Believe me, you ever meet me in person, we go to do the handshake extension, you are going to remember my handshake, period. Am I coming in to crush bone, carpal, metacarpal, distal phalanges at risk? No, but it's firm. Like, I'm coming in, it's going to be memorable. If I think I can get over on you a little bit, I actually might come with the top, which is me showing, me trying to assert dominance on you. Like, you can go in for the regular handshake like this, and then I can try and, like, ghost dominate you with my bone-crushing strength. Or, if you don't really know handshake etiquette, if I'm coming in like this, and for those of you on podcast, make sure you go into the second hour about 37, 38 minutes in. Come in like this for the handshake. I'm coming in for a domination role. Coming in on the top, grabbing you here, and then turning you. I'm dominating that handshake. Little insider look at what the handshake is, what you might be trying to assert during your handshake times. But routinely, Maddie, Marley, coming home, going, Dad, you wouldn't believe the handshake this guy just gave me at work. You wouldn't believe the handshake this guy gave me that I met somebody at the gym. My manager shakes hands like he's a dead fish. Just today, Marley came home, said, I was shaking hands with a guy. He got me right here, like right in the first set of knuckles on your hand. These are the distal phalanges. He got me right here. I'm like, really? Yes. She's like, I didn't know what to think. All the while, because I only had girls in this family, all female family except me, which of course means there was enough man in the family to begin with. I teach my daughters how to have a firm handshake. You want to have an impressive handshake, you shake hands with any of my daughters. And it is routine checking with them. I will approach them in the house, stick my hand out for a handshake, just to make sure handshakes are being done in accordance with my standard. And I can tell you on multiple occasions, my daughters are happy to come back and report to me, hey, Dad, I shook hands with this guy or this gal. And the first thing that they did when we let go was comment on how firm or how much of a great handshake I had. That's winning as a parent. That's getting your kids off on the right foot in life, being able to execute a proper handshake. You reach out for that hand, especially with Marley, you're going to be remembering that handshake. Definitely with Maddie, too. But Marley also they all take great pride in the handshake. Marley's just got that extra. She's got a little something that I got. Like, I want to give you a little extra something just so you remember me on the handshake. Again, not trying to break your hand or go full douche on you like some of those guys. But that's the benefit of working on the handshake. Once you lock hands with somebody that's a handshake douche, you can meet them in the handshake. You can negate their power if you know how to do that. And then you got a little bit of a stare down going, and they're like, okay. Not going to get over on you. But the next time you see them, instead of going in for the traditional, you go in for the top and turn so you can dominate that handshake. But there's been multiple times when those girls have come home to tell me either they're shocked with how shittily the majority of humans are shaking hands these days, and then then better than that, coming home gleefully telling me somebody complimented on how well they shake hands. And again, to me, that's winning as a parent. You can tell me my daughters are beautiful or smart or they're going to be successful or whatever. You can't pay me a bigger compliment than you taught your daughters how to shake hands correctly. I just can't think of something that makes my heart glow and beat faster, and I take more pride in that I have raised 3 women that can go out into the business world, the professional world, the non-professional world, the meeting humans world, extend a hand, and 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to go, oh, that's a handshake you got there. Of course it is. Your dad taught you well. Of course I did. I'm not letting ne'er-do-wells out into the gen pop with half-assed handshakes. You got nudniks like me talking about you on their internet show, for crying out loud, if they did that. All right, we're going to end it a little bit early. That's fine. I could have kept going, but let's not push my luck here. I have a lamb take, and I have a first-class airline take that I got to get to at some point. Anyway, back in the first hour was Grant Pinkerton, first-time guest. Pinkerton's Barbecue, all spelled out, BARBECUE.com is his website. 2 locations in Houston, 1 in San Antonio. Visit them and tell me what you think. And then in the second hour was me. Did I mention that Qdoba sponsoring the second hour with their spicy tequila lime steak drop along with their churro chips? I think this bucket hat might make an appearance ongoing. I love it. Like, if I want to hide, I can just duck down a little bit like this, showing the Qdoba, of course. Qdoba Marketing, get in touch with me for a dollar amount ongoing. We can work it out. Trust me, we can work it out. A big show planned for you next week. I have a topic with Malcolm Reed that's going to blow your mind. Blew my mind today when Steve Ray told me about it. It's going to blow your mind if you don't already do it. And I can't imagine there's very many of you doing it, but he's one of them that is doing it. It's going to blow your mind. Sam, the cooking guy, will be back. He's spent a long stint in the Far East. We're going to talk to him about that. Amongst others, dare I say. Have a safe and enjoyable July 4th weekend coming up. I don't know if you have the Monday or the Friday off, like leading into. I do. I have the Friday this coming off, and then we'll be celebrating on Saturday. Some of you might have that wraparound Monday situation. Whatever it is, celebrate safely on Saturday because we have it on the weekend, thank goodness. And how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying, Shabbat!